Welcome to The Explainer, where we transform complex cases into clear, compelling stories. Today, we're diving into a court case that honestly reads more like a thriller. We've got a multi-million-dollar fortune, a secret sale, and a silent partner. This is the story of how an entire empire just vanished, and the wild legal battle to bring it all back.
I mean, that's the real question, isn't it? How does that even happen? We're about to get into a story that kicks off when a 9-year relationship comes to an end, and almost right away, the assets they built together over a decade start to disappear, systematically.
And this situation basically created a two-front war right in the middle of the courtroom. You had one side shouting, "Hey, the assets are being stolen," while the other side was yelling, "Forget that, the bank is about to foreclose on us." This put the judge in a really tough spot and forced a critical choice. Should the court try to stop the bleeding or put out the fire?
Okay, let's really get into this. We're going to rewind a bit and see exactly how the stage was set for all this courtroom drama. It's a story of trust, some really suspicious timing, and a pattern of behavior that, well, it raised every single red flag you can imagine.
So, from 2012 all the way to 2021, Ms. Lehman and Mr. Tunnell were in what's legally known as a de facto relationship. Now, what that means is, even though they weren't married, under Australian law, they had built this whole complex portfolio of assets together, and their rights to that property were pretty much the same as a married couple's.
Right after they split, the court put an order in place to protect their assets. The rule was super simple. If you're going to sell their main property, you have to give 14 days notice. That's it. But Mr. Tunnell didn't just bend the rules here, he absolutely shattered them. He went and secretly sold that exact property to his new partner, which was in direct violation of the court's order.
And this chart, wow, this really shows you the heart of the problem. An independent expert, someone both sides had agreed on, valued the property at $1.6 million, but it was sold to his new partner, Ms. Curda, for a staggering $500,000 less.
And that was the million-dollar question. Well, the $1.1 million question, I guess. For the next year and a half, despite being asked again and again, Mr. Tunnell never produced a single bank statement, a transfer record, or any proof at all that his new partner had actually paid him that money.
And this whole disappearing act didn't just stop with the house. Oh no, a really clear pattern started to emerge. All the shares in one of their main companies also transferred to the new partner, Ms. Curda, again for a price that nobody seems to know. An entire shared empire was being taken apart, piece by piece, and moved into one person's name.
So now, let's go to the courtroom, because this is where it all comes to a head. Ms. Lehman realized she had to act and act fast, or there'd be nothing left to divide, and that led to this urgent, head-on confrontation right in front of the judge.
So Ms. Lehman files this emergency application with two pretty bold requests. First, she says, you need to drag the new partner, Ms. Curda, into this case as a defendant. And second, freeze every single asset that's been transferred to her right now. At the same time, Mr. Tunnell fires back with his own emergency motion, demanding they sell other properties to cover these bank debts that were piling up.
Now get this, sitting there in the courtroom gallery for this whole hearing was the one person at the absolute center of it all, the new partner, Ms. Curda, the very same person who now, on paper at least, owned the disputed house and the company.
Okay, so she's sitting there, being accused of improperly receiving millions of dollars in assets. This was her chance, right? Her opportunity to file a statement, show some bank records to give her side of the story and clear her name.
Absolutely nothing. Not a word. She offered no explanation, no documents, no defense. And in a room just buzzing with arguments and evidence, her strategic silence became the most powerful and maybe the most damning piece of evidence there was.
So, if you're the judge, what do? You've got this clear pattern of really suspicious transfers on one hand and a key witness who refuses to talk on the other. How do you weigh the risk of losing these assets forever against the risk of some manageable bank debt?
Well, Judge Jarrett J. used a really crucial legal phrase. He declared there was a triable issue. Now, in plain English, that basically means Ms. Lehman had brought enough strong evidence to the table to suggest that these asset transfers weren't legit and that the whole affair needed a full-blown investigation.
And his logic was crystal clear. Think about it. Money and property that just vanish into thin air, maybe transferred again to who knows where, well, that could be an irreversible loss, gone forever. But mortgage arrears, that's just math. You can calculate those numbers, you can assign them, and you can sort it all out in the final settlement. One risk is permanent, the other is totally manageable.
So the court came down like a hammer. The judge completely denied Mr. Tunnell's request to sell off other properties, but he approved every single one of Ms. Lehman's requests. He officially added the new partner to the case, he put a freeze on all the transferred assets, and he ordered a full forensic investigation into the sales.
You know, this whole intense legal fight offers some incredibly powerful lessons for anyone who might find themselves navigating a really complex separation. So let's talk about what you should take away from this. Think of it as a kind of defense playbook inspired by this case.
Okay, first golden rule, be vigilant from day one. Seriously. The second that legal proceedings begin, you have to operate on the assumption that assets could be at risk. This case shows you can't just wait around to react. You have to be proactive and talk to your lawyer about freezing orders or injunctions immediately.
Second, and this is a big one, third parties are not safe harbors. Anyone who helps hide or transfer assets, I don't care if it's a new partner, a friend, a family member, they can be legally dragged right into the center of the dispute, just like Ms. Curda was. No one is untouchable.
Third golden rule, learn to leverage the silence. In a courtroom, when you present evidence of really suspicious behavior and your opponent gives you no logical explanation, well, their silence can become your single most persuasive argument. The court is just left to draw its own conclusions, and they usually aren't favorable ones.
And finally, 2 rules rolled into one here. Number 4, respect the court's authority. A court order is like a high-voltage line. If you touch it, it's going to destroy your credibility. And number 5, when the finances get this complicated, don't try to go it alone. Expert legal and accounting help is an absolute necessity, not a luxury.
You know, in his ruling, the judge didn't just say Ms. Curda was involved. He used this really powerful word, complicity. That single word signaled that he believed she wasn't some innocent bystander, but an active participant in the whole scheme. And that finding, well, that was the key that unlocked the entire decision. This case really is a stark reminder that these legal tools are designed to do way more than just divide up assets. They're designed to expose the truth. And it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? If the law can pull a silent partner out from the shadows like this, what other hidden truths can it bring into the light?